you got one a month, and it's a variety to your chicken diet. And if you had more than 12 made it, then you got some to give away as amazing gifts or to sell to help supplement. So I went to Joel's and I measured his gobbly-go. I measured how far the perches apart, how much space did he get for his, what was his roof? This is just a shade. There's no walls on this. Turkeys are not chickens. Right. Turkeys are one of the most probably underrated farm animals for that reason. They're easier than chickens. They don't till, so if you aren't in a situation where you don't want the ground tilled, turkeys. They're easier to catch. They're way easier to catch if they get out. They have they're a bit like goats. They have a bit of a personality, but that can be fun. And just perch. This will hold 20 birds. This holds for 20 birds. It's just a 4-foot cube. It's just ultra simple. Guys, this is so easy to move. Chris developed a hitch for it, but it might be overkill because it's so easy to move, but perhaps you want to move this so far away, and then yeah, that might be helpful. Just a shake off, no walls. And we surrounded these guys with a pig net, a net that's this tall. They're so gentle and tame, they're not chickens. And guys, you can get turkeys that lay eggs. But anyway, you got a net that goes around it. You can just step over the pig net, or if you're nervous, you could do poultry net. And that's it. We do it in a 100 feet net around them. To move them, we just move everything first. We move everything first. We move the turkey shawl and the food and the water, and they kind of migrate over there. They kind of follow this as home. When you bring them out of the brooder, that's the only thing. Turkeys, you keep them in the brooder a little longer, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, as opposed to chicks like 3 to 4 weeks. When you bring them out, you put the feed and the water near this, and you just dip their beak in the water, and you just set them under that, and you just step back and watch and just make sure they're still not too little to walk through the net or anything, and you just kind of watch and make sure. We tried to put them out this year at like 4 weeks, and immediately they started walking right through the net. So we said, okay, let's get them a little bigger. We put them back in the brooder, and 2 weeks later they were just fine. First few days, and with meat chickens too. First few days, and you introduce the meat chickens to the meat shawl the same way I just told you about the turkey shawl. The first few days, go out there and make sure all the meat chickens didn't get out of your net, and just put them back in. They just need a few days of training. Any questions about the turkey shawl? This serves great as when we put the chickens in the high tunnel in the winter. This serves great as a perch for the chickens. So multi-purpose everything. Don't be intimidated. One thing you'll see us doing in the vlog, and hopefully it's relatable, is we're still making mistakes. Things still don't go right. Everybody's got problems, but just every day we're doing 1% improvement. And in 72 days, you've doubled. So how we get this far? 15 days of, it didn't matter if it was raining, sleeting, if I had reactive arthritis, if I've had broken arms, milked 2 cows with one hand with broken arms. COVID, I've milked with COVID twice. The flu, all kinds of stuff. Christmas, Easter too. You have to. One guy was asking me, how do you prevent burnout? And I said, and I get leery of people. Oh, I want to get a cow because I'm so excited to milk. That makes sense, and that draws you in, but it's a trick. It's just the bait, okay? Because what happens is, chores for the milk cow are an hour-and-a-half day process. My kids did a lot of the stuff after we left. They went and protected the trees. They moved the old net to the new net. They made sure the waters were working. There was a lot went on, so we could enjoy ourselves. And that happens every day. And so what happens is, you guys see it at Thanksgiving. You cook hard for 2 days. And then you enjoy this meal, and somebody says, don't they, probably the main cook, oh man, it took this long and we're done in 20 minutes. If you grew your Thanksgiving turkey, it's even worse. Because it didn't just take 2 days to prepare, it took 16 weeks to grow these turkeys. And like I said, you put them out a little too early. So, oh no, we got to put them back in the brooder, and 2 weeks later, we got to get them out. And oh my goodness, that one idiot keeps getting out, and we got to go get it back in, and what's the fence on, and we're feeding them every day. And you're going to grow the potatoes and the sweet potatoes, and what else do you eat? The cornbread. You're going to grow a lot of this stuff, the milk that goes with it, the honey to put in your sweet tea. You're looking at a 2-year process to get to that table. That's the key. You gotta find joy in the process. You gotta find joy in the calluses. That's where it's at. And if you're having a hard time and you're burning out, you've got to figure out how to find the joy in that process. So early on, if you would have asked me if I liked milking, I would have said, no, I can't stand it. If I'm being honest. You know, a lot of things going on in my life. I'm just sick and tired of milking this cow. But, you know, I was bringing the cow into the barn. I was all the way in. And so if she pooped, I'd scoop it up, wash it. You know, eventually Joel Sellison told me about milking every day out in the different paddock. And now, I'm not the kind of guy to go frolic around and go and enjoy every view. I'm just not. But now that I have to milk and I'm in a different spot every morning, I'm looking around and I'm seeing a different view. And now it's not nearly as drudgery. I'm sitting there, we're still milking under the shed. At least we moved operation to under the shed. So sometimes you have to change your process to be more enjoyable. Sometimes you need to smoothify it. Get a different cow. You know, maybe you haven't ornery cow. Maybe you have a cow that's high maintenance. Maybe you need to start over. We're milking outside, and Jonah comes to me. I'm enjoying myself. You know, Lily's on the other side of it. And he says, do you like milking? And I thought for a minute and said, because he can't stand it. And I said, actually, yes, I like milking. And I remembered, wait, I used to hate this. What happened? You know what happened? My little girl grew up, and she was milking there with me. And we didn't need to go to Fun Depot. You know, we didn't have to have a daddy-daughter day, which are good. We just did that. We just went and had some fun. But for the most part, we have a daddy-daughter day almost every day. And half the time, 75% of the time, we don't even say a thing. Mm-hmm. But our souls fellowship with each other. And that then makes the process more fun. Before kids, I learned to listen to Zig Ziglar. He has Developing the Qualities of Success. So take an audio book out there with you. It's a 6-hour-long speech. And he says, you got to listen to this 16 times to really get it. I said, all right, Zig. Took me 4 years. I don't know how many milkings, but I listened to that. And it's helped change mindset. So listen to an audio book. Do something. Guys, when I train, I have to listen to something nonsensical. I got to put on Joe Rogan or something, you know, just to hear a casual conversation. I don't need to listen to like a business talk or anything serious or anything about farming. I just need to I hate this, so just let's get distracted. So it could be kids coming on. It's for butcherings. I couldn't stand butchering, so then we said, well, you got a lot of people who want to learn how to butcher. So we put it out to the members. Do you want to come and learn how to butcher? And it's so much, it's fun, right? Like we're just getting together and talking and butchering. So it's about, if you're not enjoying the process, find a way to enjoy it. That's inviting a friend, that's making a date with your kid, whatever. Makes sense. I don't know how I got on that. That was definitely talking about it. Now we're at the point where we don't even have to do meat chickens next year. We need to get caught up. We've probably got 2 years of meat.
Not a problem.
We surrounded it with a 100-foot net, and we moved that meat shawl one day. You know, we move it its length one day, and you could go 3 days inside of a 100-foot fence, and then we move the whole net system. Same thing we do the turkeys. We move the shawl first, the feeder, the water, and the chickens generally follow that. You kind of have to go, if pigboard helps, you kind of go behind them and kind of herd them over. You do eventually get them over moved. We ran the meat shawl somewhere flat, somewhere close to the house. Normally we run the meat shawl in that field, way over there. That's because that's our living area in a hollar house. We're looking out and see that area a lot. But we're living in the guest house, right? And so we can look down on this field. So that's why a lot of these poultry, we're down in this. The turkeys were down here. You know, I kind of hate it because this is like the best field we have, and it doesn't really need the fertilizer. I'd rather Guys, if you want to revive some land, put your chickens there, especially your meat chickens. The place your meat chickens were will be just so much greener forever. What do you do with bare ground? Really the same thing, and that will help revive the bare ground. One of two things. They're going to be in one spot, do deep bedding, then you can move it out and it could be a garden. Or if you want to move them around, you still, even on the bare ground, you put them, you put the net up, put them in there for a week. They're not getting vegetation because there's none there. That's fine, but that's why you have the feeder, and they can get as much as they want out of it. And then they've got their water, and you just continue to move that. Moving that and giving that rest, they're going to stir up some of the weed seed. They're going to stir up some of the grass seeds, some of the weed seeds too. They're going to stir up some of the things, and they're going to begin reviving them. And especially with, like, if you want sheep one day, get sheep right now, especially if you can afford hay. Like, right, there's no vegetation there right now. But give them a daily paddock, feed the hay in there. They waste a lot of that hay, and that becomes organic matter. They manure there, and they're gonna get it gumming back fast. So if you can afford the hay, that's one of the best things you can do. And just start moving them. It's crazy how quickly. And then you give that spot a rest. This time of year, 60 days rest. You don't come back. And what did grow there, they'll hit, and it'll them hitting it. That's nature's way. They'll hit this, and when I say hit it, I mean mow it, and that will invigorate that. It'll come back even stronger. And the problem is, if this is our little farm, and we put some sheep in here, and we only put them here, they're gonna go and eat all this. This is what I call ice cream grass. They're gonna only eat this. They might get that. They don't like clover as much as cows, but they probably eat that clover. What's gonna happen is, in 4 days, this is gonna start growing back. And it's grown back a little bit. And if they hit it again, then it stunts it. Oh. And what's happening? They're not touching this, and this is going to seed. And it's spreading its offspring. And before you know it, in a season, you've doubled your weeds and halved your edibles. But if you let them hit this, and then don't come back till it's grown back, they're going to be stepping on this. They're going to be crushing this. This is going to be reinvigorated, and eventually it's going to dominate this. I mean, you look at our pastures, there's barely any unedibles there. It's just from rotating. How do you know when it's ready? You pick let's say this is an average piece of the grass. Go and pull it up. This is an average piece. Okay, is the blade still cut? Like after it's mowed or hit with an animal, it's flat like that, isn't it? It's cut. So has it healed? Has it gone back to a sharp point? Test number 1. Okay, this actually has. And how many leaves of grass do we have on there? The grass actually has leaves. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 or 4 leaves, just ready. This is ready. You don't have to worry about height, because in the spring, this is going to be this tall. But in the fall, this time of the year, it may not. It's going to be this really supple, nice. It may not be as tall, but it's really rich, nutrient dense. They're going to really have a good time on it. Another test is, you can look at a patch of clover. Say this is our patch of clover. Don't copy this one. If 20% of this clover, let's say there's 10 of these clovers, maybe there is 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there's 10, there's a little more than 10. We take a little patch, say this is an average patch, and I would say it's average, looking at that. When 20% of this has gone black and gone to seed, that's the ideal time to hit it. Some of our patches, goes past that. It's not the end of the world. They're not going to like the clover as much, but all this has went to seed, so next year you're going to have more clover, which is good. Hey, we got some alfalfa growing here. 20% gone to seed. It's ready. The boys and I are talking. We've done this loop, and actually this pasture is getting there. We don't have any gone to seed, have we? So we've got some time. But once this is getting to about 20%, we know this is fully rested, and maybe we haven't gone through our whole farm rotation. We have the choice. We can say, oh, we can let it grow up. We don't want to skip the farm. We don't want to herd the animals off. Or we can say, let's skip what we haven't grazed yet, and let's stockpile it for the winter. And let's go ahead and herd the cows down here and hit this again. See what I'm saying? So you have then that kind of option. And that can just keep growing up there, and it's getting longer and bigger, and that means after we've come around, that's ready to hit, and we can extend the season again. Does that make sense? So 20% of your clover has gone, it's ready to hit. If the blade has recovered, or if it's got 3 or 4 and has 3 or 4 leaves on it. People want to people want to make it complicated and fancy and a grass measuring stick. And I've tried that and just realized that's just not me. And maybe it is you. I've realized because we're moving them every day, we can just really go out there and say, did they get enough? Is there any food left? And because we're moving them every day, you can make a mistake like that and say, oh, well, we didn't quite give them enough. And you'll start to know. You'll say, how do I know I didn't give them enough? Well, if they're bellowing, you definitely didn't give them enough. The cow shouldn't bellow. That's stress. And then the left side of their flank should be full. Same thing with a sheep. You want to see them sitting down some. That's when they're gaining weight. That's when they're chewing their cud. They don't need to be constantly searching. But you figure it out. And you say, did I feed them enough? Do I need to make the next day's paddock bigger or smaller? And you just adjust as you go. And it's just so forgiving. As long as you don't come back, and that would be the non-forgiving part. Let's not hit this before it grows back. But even in your yards, you're hitting that grass all the time before it grows back. Mm-hmm. And yards tend to be some of your best pastures, because you've cut off especially if you mow your yard high, you're only hitting the tips. He's like, yep. And you fed organic matter. Mowing can be some of the cheapest fertilizers in the spring. The sheep and the cows can't get it all, and they leave a lot of weedy stuff. We come in the mower, the highest setting, and mow behind them. Some of the cheapest fertilizer you can get is put that organic matter on the ground, and it cuts, say, the weeds. And guess what? These edibles, it just so happens that this ice cream grass and the clover grow back faster than the weeds, for the most part. Okay? Look at the alfalfa, just really growing nice. Oh look, here we got something. They won't eat this. But at this point, guys, we don't even have to go mow behind them. We can come in with a scythe or a machete or just our foot, and just what they didn't get, just step on it. Or you don't even have to, because over time, these edibles are going to dominate, and eventually that's going to die out. So we actually had, was this a garden? This might have been a garden. So we put pigs on it. They tilled it for us. We planted a southeast mix, a dairy cow mix, which included alfalfa, clover, some fescue, certain kinds of grasses, and it's grown this up. It's real nice.
Do you have any issues? I mean, like, you have a lot of stuff on your fence. If you charge that fence, would that?
Hey, that's another reason we love the grid. I mean, we have a kind of a 3 joule fence on this one. Some of our energizers are, guys, you got to look at joule, not how many miles it will power, because it's saying it will go this many miles if you don't have nothing on the fence. But we're a diverse homestead, and we've got kids doing this, and these chickens have been here a little too long, so they're a little overdue for a move. But the grid is a bit forgiving, because it's got so many joules in its power, it will still power this fence despite all the areas it's grounding out. I think best practice, and what we will do, because this grass has gotten taller, it's been a while since the cows have been here, and let's say they're going over there, we'll take a mower and mow where this fence is gonna be, and then set up our fence. And if you needed to mow this, and they needed to stay here a while, you just move it over a length. Do your string trimming right where it was, and this is how you know because how are you gonna guess where your fence is gonna be? It's hard. So sometimes you have to set it up in the tall grass. And then now I know I just go take my mower, do a strip here, and then after I've done that, I can just go then put it back.